This is Donovan from Parasitic Ejaculation, and you're watching Richard Metal Fan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 267 of Richard Metal Fan Interviews, calling from Zoom, and I'm here with Donovan Dettle from the almighty Parasitic Ejaculation and probably a plethora of other bands. So, how are you doing today, Donovan?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's a lovely afternoon here in Georgia where I'm at. How is it over in Cali?
Pretty nice. It's raining here today, but I don't mind that.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I've only been to California maybe once or twice. I've been to San Francisco, but I've never been, I believe you're from Santa Cruz.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
ever been to San Francisco, it's awesome. I've been to the Redwood Forest. It's amazing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, San Francisco's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I only been there once. I was only 13.
Okay, gotcha. Nice.
Yeah. So it's good to have you here. So kind of the format is I want to talk about like your musical history and do a rundown of your discography, but take you back to young Donovan Dettle. So kind of growing up, what were the first bands that got you into metal? What made you want to start playing drums?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say when I was younger, I got really into a lot of like new metal and stuff at an early age. Like System of a Down was one of like the first heavier bands that was introduced to
Yeah.
me. And then
Because you
that
wanted to.
exactly. And then that kind of led over into things like Slipknot and stuff, and it kind of just stemmed from there and then got into heavier stuff as it progressed.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because System of a Down was my gateway into metal when I was like 12 years old when I first heard Chop Suey and
Mhm.
here I am now. And it was like new metal. Metal was like the first metal I've heard with like System of a Down, Korn, Slipknot, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, and shit like that. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have gotten into like Cannibal Corpse and whatever.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of people always like to shit on metal, and I always tell like all the freaking getting neckbeard dads like, so you're telling me that you were like 5 years old, you were like walking to school with your lunchbox listening to Once Upon the Cross by Deicide? Come on.
Yeah, right. That's hella funny.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I was like doing my research on Metal Archives, kind of like diving in. I believe. Tell me about like forming Parasitic Ejaculation because the band formed in 2011. So how'd you get to know the guys and everybody?
Yeah, so I was in another band a little bit before Parasitic called Ecophagy, and it was like a hardcore band kind of, and we were also super into, some of the members were like super into slam too, me being one of them, and so we kind of wanted to just kind of branch out a bit, and so we got some of the members from that past band and then a couple other friends together and just kind of wanted to do it. But yeah, it was all like people from like high school and like friends and that kind of stuff that all just really wanted to write some slam and brutal death stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And talk about making that first demo, repulsive, rotted anal blast. So I say that three times fast. So where was that recorded at? It's just like three songs. It's only like 7 minutes, but it's just a fucking ass beater of a demo.
Yeah, so that was recorded at our the Parasitics original bassist's house. Then it was their dad who actually helped us record that three-song demo. Yeah, and so it was just yeah, out of a house kind of studio thing.
Yeah. And then next up you got the second, like the first EP, Sickening Conduct. Tell me about like that.
Yeah, so for Sickening Conduct, we got this guy named Max Zigman who lives in Santa Cruz as well, and he's recorded a decent amount of bands from around here, and we knew him and just kind of wanted to get a bit progress with the recording and just the way that we were sounding and stuff, and so yeah, that was also like done at like a home studio kind of thing, and that guy who recorded that ended up recording a lot of our full lengths, actually. I think most of them, if not all of them. And yeah, so that was that, and that was with the mostly original lineup. I think like the only like original lineup is from that three-song demo, but then there was like a one member switch, and then that's when we recorded Sickening Conduct. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you started playing locally around California, and then you got signed to your first label, which was Ghastly Music. So how did they find Parasitic Ejaculation?
Yeah, so Ghastly Music is kind of like a sister label of Amputated Vein Records. And so the owner of that label was like created a new label, and that was Ghastly, and he wanted to put us on it. And but yeah, it was really cool because like the owner of Amputated Vein like has put out like a bunch of like really good stuff in the past, obviously, so it was a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, and then tell me about making the debut full-length album, Rationing the Sacred Human Remains. So, what was sort of like the thought process going into making the debut full-length Parasitic Ejaculation record?
Yeah. So at that point, when we did rationing, we had just gotten a new guitarist, Mike, who was with us for a long while after that. So yeah, the sound kind of got changed a little bit during that point. I think got a little, a bit more intricate and a little bit more wacky and stuff. But yeah, so that was really fun recording that one. That was yeah our first full length. And yeah, I think it got a decent amount of traction and everything, and it was a good like start to kind of like this like new sound that Parasitic wanted to like sound like. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love it. I think it pretty much like any debut album has sort of like that debut charm, and of course with Rationing, I think I love like every instrument meant sort of like shines like the guitars, like your drumming, the bass, like everything thing just really complements each other.
Mm, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. And then when Rationing first came out, did you start playing like outside of California for the first time, or was it still just local?
Yeah, when rationing came out, I think it was pretty soon after that point. So that was like 2013 or so. We did our like first like actual kind of like band tour like the outside of like from where we lived. So we went to we did like we went up to like Oregon and like Seattle and just kind of did a little run up there. And that was yeah just a little bit after rationing was released, but yeah, so yeah, that was when all that stuff started. And then after that tour, stuff kind of really started to get really moving after that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and did you start like making your way like of course to like the southeastern part of the US? Have you ever played like Georgia back in during that time?
You know what? I don't think we didn't get over to that side till some years later after that. I think it was mostly like West Coast during that time, until we went to like Europe in 2014. And so that was like our first time going to Europe. And then after that, we set some other stuff up that made it so we were able to like go to the East Coast more, like, in the South a little bit. But yeah, we never played Georgia at any point that I can remember at least.
All right. All right. And then kind of go moving on to the next album, Echoes of Depravity. I thought that was a really good album because usually with the debut full-length album, you have your entire life to write and there's a lot of hype with the first album. When it came to making Echoes of Depravity, did you feel pressure to follow up Rationing?
That's a good question. I think personally for me, not too much because like I like was like really, just kind of doing it for fun more than anything else, as I'm sure a lot of people would say. Um, but yeah, I think it didn't so much feel like pressure as just kind of like wanting to continue to have fun with it. And I think that kind of helped with the process. So like it didn't feel we didn't put a lot of pressure on ourselves to like make something that we like thought was gonna be like perfect like for everyone else. Kind of, it was kind of like, oh, we think that this stuff sounds cool, so let's just like see what happens and comes from this kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I definitely feel like with Echoes, you definitely like stepped it up in terms of like the songwriting has improved. Like I feel like the production, everything like has been turned up to 11 on that.
Yeah, yeah. That's when the production definitely started to get a bit better. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And and of course next year, 2025 will mark the 10-year anniversary of Echoes. Is there plans to do a celebration of that? Maybe throw in some like deep cuts?
Yeah, right. So there's nothing on the books currently, unfortunately. It's been like pretty stagnant. Just like a lot of, people all have like moved away, or just, they're in their early 30s and stuff. So it's as I'm sure like people get busy and everything. But I personally am still like super down and like driven to be in parasitic and stuff, and there have been some talk with maybe getting some member changes here pretty soon, and then kind of maybe playing some more shows and like writing some more music possibly, so that might be a thing on the horizon possibly.
Yeah. And I know like in between during that whole period between like the first second album, you also play drums with Dragging in Trails. Like tell me about that.
Yeah, so that's a funny story. So I got like I joined that band like internationally. Um and then it turns out like I didn't actually end up writing any music with them, and I didn't end up playing like any shows with them. So like my name kind of got lumped in to being associated with the band because it was going to be a thing. And then I think it got added to like Metal Archives, and then at that point people thought that it was a thing, but I never ended up writing any music for them or anything like that. I once I got like joined into the band at that point, like there was some like member switches, and then I didn't end up really doing anything. But yeah, it's a funny one.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to pull that up. I feel like Metal Archives needs to get their shit together. Yeah. Yeah, but kind of going back to Parasitic, because in 2014 you did like a four-way split called the four formidable forms with intestinal alien reflux, gore spot, and traumatomy. I know you did like the two songs Anal Incest and Hematogenic Masturbation. Hell of song titles, man. So how did you guys get involved with that little four band split?
Yeah, so that one, I think one of the other bands kind of like hit us up or something, and asked us to join it, if I remember correctly. But yeah, those two songs on there are re-recordings of two older like demo songs that were released after Sickening Conduct. There was like a little two song thing, I think. And so those are re-recordings of that song. But yeah.
Yeah. And I know you also did another split in 2016 with Disfigurement of Flesh, the intracellular or impious metamorphosis. You did existential disintegration and resentment for humanity. Did you tell me about like how you guys got involved with that split?
Yeah, for that one, so when back at that point, our bassist at the time was dealing with a lot of like the promoting and a lot of like reaching out and trying to get on to either like splits or like tours and stuff. And I but also people were reaching out to us to join on some splits and stuff. And I'm not sure for that one specifically how we ended up getting on that one, but that was a cool one. Yeah, those were some a cool two little songs that we put out on that. But yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. Like getting at the time, like I was really getting into like Disfigurement of Flesh and everything, and it was like cool, like having listened to a band for a while, and then like being on like a split with a band that you're super like into. It's just like a really cool feeling when that happens. Yeah.
And in 2017, you actually had joined up with or started a band Cold Shoulder. Tell me about that. I'm trying to like find like some songs and stuff. Where can I find like some Cold Shoulder songs?
Yeah, so that band was originally started by one of Parasitic's guitarists, and with that project, he asked me. It was like a solo thing for him for a bit, and then he asked me to play drums at the time, and that was kind of like it's like kind of like metalcore stuff with like a couple slams here and there, but like pretty heavy. Um, but yeah, so that was cool. That was fun to do. It was yeah, it was kind of just like a little cool project to be a part of. But then I kind of just disbanded just because of time and all that type of stuff that comes with that. But yeah, been in a lot of bands with with one of the guitarists of Parasitic. Been in a lot of like different genre bands and everything. Like me and him have been in a like an easycore band together, and it's like not necessarily like what I would listen to, but like totally like down to like play whatever. And especially like when it's your friend wanting to like have you join into a project and stuff. It's yeah, it's a cool kind of thing. But so yeah, so that's how Cold Shoulder became a thing. And then yeah, there was only like one like full band recording, I think on Bandcamp somewhere if it's still up. But other than that, yeah, not too much got released with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, with playing like in so many different bands, like how different of a mind frame is it playing with a bunch of other bands versus playing with Parasitic? Do you have to like adjust like you're playing in a certain way, or you're allowed to like bring like free reign and like bring like your own style to whatever projects that you're involved with?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that a lot of the times, like if someone like asked me to join a band or like if something like that, um a lot of the time how it'll go, at least with most of the time, like especially with this one parasitic guitarist who I've been in a lot of projects with, he would kind of like write a lot, like most of the music, and even like some of the drum parts and stuff, or like most of the drum parts in certain circumstances. And then I would learn them and then kind of add my like flair or embellishment to stuff. And when it kind of differ, like when the genres get different and stuff, I think that yeah, it's definitely like fun. It's like a fun thing to like to switch up and stuff. But I feel like I don't have to like consciously change up my playing too much. It kind of whatever like flows kind of just happens, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting playing different genres, especially like when I'm mostly used to just playing like slam or brutal death metal or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. And then of course, like the latest Parasitic Ejaculation full-length album, Isolation, was a great album, came out in 2017. So how has like the album been for you?
Yeah, so yeah, since that was our last full length we've done, yeah, that one was cool. Yeah, got it's gotten some good attention and stuff. I wish that I think I wish that maybe some of the production on that album sounded a little bit different in certain areas, but I think as a whole it's pretty good. But yeah, doing that was cool. That one took a bit to record, but yeah, that one was a lot of fun. um yeah, so yeah, it's just interesting, like how different like the recording process is, like for each album or like each song or whatever, and then that mixed with just like where you are with your like your craft and stuff, and like how confident you feel in it. And it's, I think, like over the years and stuff, like that was a good point of like wherever everyone, especially like with playing live during that point, everyone was like really tight and really like really just like locked in, it felt like. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, like one of my favorite songs is Global Decimation, which features guest vocals from the late great Trevor Sternad. So how did he end up guesting on that song?
Yeah, so Trevor had been a Parasitic fan for a while at that point. He had like reached out to the band page like on Facebook and stuff, and like and like bought merch like through like messaging us and stuff. And then he also, I think, had just a couple of times like reached out to just like say hi and stuff, which was really cool. And I know he I featured one of our previous albums, I think, on like one of his lists like that he used to do on online and stuff back in the day. And that was just really cool to see. And I think yeah, one of our members hit him up to see if he wanted to be a guest feature on that track, and he was super down. And yeah, so it was really cool. It was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, like the most recent, like newer recordings that you did was that another four song split, Cannons of Gore Soaked, Blood Drenched, Parasitic Sickness with Gore Vent, Blood Scribe, Party Cannon. And then I know you did those three songs, Pooling Wretched, Stagnation, Amel Gaping Beings of Deformity, and Grand Day Cafe with a Smegma Toast. So how was it like? How would you end up working with that split and with those guys?
Yeah, so That one, who did we get on that split? I think Chris from Party Cannon probably hit us up and reached out to us about that, but I could be totally wrong. But either way, yeah, that was really cool to do. That was when yeah, what was going on at that time? Yeah, that so one of the guitarists in the band had like moved away at that point. So it was just one guitarist, me, bassist, and then vocalist and stuff. And so at that time, it was like a little bit harder to get everyone together to write music. So it was kind of like the songs on that split, like the songs that we wrote, are kind of like chopped and screwed a little bit, just from like one guitarist would kind of like write something and then send it to the other one, and then like have them write a part and then like kind of intertwine it all. So yeah, that was interesting doing that kind of like remotely in a way, but yeah, that was still fun to do. I think that yeah, that when that got released and we started like playing those songs, I think that was like right before COVID hit, and then that's kind of when everything took a pretty hard dip, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. And being as it now has been like 6 years since the last parasitic ejaculation, I know you kind of like touched upon it before. So what is like the status with the next album? You all started working on it? Like what's the status with that, if you're allowed to say?
Yeah, so there's been basically like very minimal activity in that regard, but it's seeming like it's seeming hopeful for some member changes to happen and for some writing to start pretty soon. And there actually is there might be one song that is already in the works of being written, actually, now that I kind of remember. So there's that to possibly look forward to, but there's a couple of big logistical things to kind of get figured out before that stuff happens, but it is in the works. So hopefully, if everything goes smoothly, Parasitic will be like playing shows again and releasing more music in like the hopefully really near future if everything
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, and well musically we continue in the same vein as Isolation, or will you try to do something completely new or different?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think currently I think that yeah, I don't know, like with some of the member changes that have happened and like in talking and like kind of like working out some music stuff, it we want it obviously, to be super slammy, but to also be kind of like punishing also. So we are kind of trying to find where we like fit in with like, today's kind of, with how things are kind of presented today and everything, and like music wise and like the slam scene and all that type of stuff. And I think we are in the process of kind of like getting back on like our groove of like what we kind of want to sound like. So we want to keep some of the wackiness, and but also like maybe take it a little bit of different direction, but like we also still want to have like a, quote unquote like classic like parasitic sound if we can. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so kind of like in the end to sort of wrap things up, what's next for y'all for y'all if there's anything else that you would like to plug in terms of like tours and stuff?
Yeah, I wish that I had some tours to plug and everything, nothing yet, but hopefully like we'll be playing some shows here in the near future and like writing some more music, and then that will lead to some tours. That would be really cool. Would be super sick to go to Southeast Asia again, go to Europe again, do some more stuff around the US and everything. But yeah, so yeah, hopefully that will be coming up here in the near future. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Donovan, for this conversation. It's glad to have parasitic ejaculation on my show. Is there just any final words you want to say to the viewers that are watching this to close this out?
Yeah, just like, thanks to all the fans who have like, stuck along the way, even though we've been pretty dang inactive for so long. And the people who like keep reaching out, who like want new music even after it's been this long. I just think that that's really, really cool. And then also that new band that, most people are talking about, Torture. People should really listen to that band because they're really sick. I'll just say that.
Awesome.
That's like all I've been listening to nonstop since their newest release, Enduring Freedom, came out. So,
So everybody, Donovan Dettle from Parasitic Ejaculation. See you next time.
right. Thank